What is it your clients are asking you for? George saw me. There were clues. He was listening with his eyes and his ears, because outside the hotel, as I'm getting ready to hail the taxi, I have a fairly giveaway item, a map in my hand. I'm going sightseeing. George pulled up and very politely introduced himself and welcomed me into the taxi and asked me where I wanted to go. I'm a tourist. I'm in Athens, so I want to go to the Acropolis, of course. It's the one place I knew to go to. And I got in, I was settled in, and George was asking me if it was my first ever visit to his city. And I was saying, yes, it is. I've been to Greek islands, but never to Athens. He welcomed me, and again, I was saying, well, can I ask, what is it you want to go and see, and why are you going to the Acropolis now? How much time have you got to do your sightseeing? I said, well, I've got all afternoon, but I figure that's the place I should go to. He said, well, it's much better seen in the afternoon rather than this time of day. I said, well, OK, well, where else would I go, George? He said, have you been to the beach, for example? Have you been to the Olympic Stadium? And he was listing off a number of places that I, as a visitor, should go and see. And it was getting me excited because he was actually now engaging me and looking at what I would want rather than the €4.50 ride to where I'd asked to go. So chatting with him very briefly, I said, well, OK, George, that sounds great. The coast is somewhere that people don't go and see when they come to Athens. It certainly wasn't on my list. How would I get there? And George looked at me and said, well, you can easily get the train, but there are 2, maybe 3 stops you've got to take, and you've got to get off at the right place, or it could be trouble. You could go on the metro, but of course that's underground, and you're a tourist and you want to do some sightseeing. So that probably doesn't work either. He said, well, you could maybe get a taxi. So I looked back at George and said, George, that sounds great. Could you take me? And he just reached up, turned the meter off and smiled and said, be my pleasure. George taught me another vital lesson right there on that day. Not only was he listening to what I wanted, but he was acting and looking after my best interest. He served me better. He didn't just sell me something, but what he did, when other people were looking at the crisis and people not having money, George took a €4.50 ride and turned it into a €60 ride. What could you be doing with clients to serve them better rather than just focusing on the pounds and pence? But the trip was really good because George was absolutely my saviour. He took lessons that I would have delivered at that conference, but I was able to put a completely different spin on it. Because as soon as George took me from €4.50 to €60, I realised I had the ability to talk then to the locals about how you can upsell and upserve people better.